With that, I am actually pleased to introduce Christian Braukmüller. Christian, where are you? There. Christian is not just a very active SAP mentor, he's actually also a HANA enthusiast since many years. In his current role as SAP Landscape Architecture Team Lead, he oversees a quite significant landscape at Evonik. And today he will talk about the journey from a bold promise to an operational reality. Christian, stage is yours. Take it forward.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it feels kind of weird somehow, me with a keynote, because I have to be honest, in the beginning of my career, when I was walking through a lot of technical events, I usually skipped the keynote because looking for all the hands-on stuff, the technical insights. And I said, okay, but I don't like to hear promises and future outlook and whatever. Times changed after a while, so nowadays I really like keynotes. No matter if they are, in which direction they are, you get always something out of it, and hopefully you can take something with you here. My screen is already there. I can't see it here. Now I can see it. Okay. So when I was asked about speaking here, I was asked about putting some stress on community and my perspective on community and the customer perspective, and therefore I've chosen this. And these promises, bold promises on operational reality, is something I like to focus in the very beginning. So what to expect here in this roughly 30 minutes, I guess. First I will start with the community, because that is deep in my heart, and then give you some impressions about what is our challenges, what had been our challenges on the customer side, and then an outlook. And where my personal HANA story started was 2012, 2013. That was the first HANA book. I was at a training, first SAP HANA training in Walldorf. Had this book and was reading through that in the evening. And there was one chapter about the TCO. And TCO was a topic at that time. I think it gets back now. And the interesting sentence was, in SAP HANA, DBAs aren't needed, resulting in significant operational savings. Okay, that was me as an administrator, having quite some experience, some databases, and now I was targeting into HANA. I said, okay, is that really this magic black box where data goes in and you don't do anything? In memory, everything works. It turned out to be different. And I had this gut feeling and thought I should give feedback. So the message was DBAs aren't needed, and it would run itself. Admins, please find a new hobby. And what I did is, at that time, Twitter was a thing to be used. It was a starting, and I said, okay, maybe SAP Press, hello, can we have a talk about that? I don't really think that this is so true. And the feedback was, yes, but that's the message we like to send at that time. But good thing, it wasn't true, and the talks were good for something. In the second edition of the book, this part was changed. It was more explained, differentiated, and at the end it was something maybe already so future-ready that they were talking something like a managed service, HANA Cloud. I think in this direction there are some truth in the statement, probably, but I will come to that in the customer story. Our world is still massive data on-premise system, no matter if it's private cloud or on-prem, in this core database with a lot of admin work. And I will show some stories of our HANA experience. 2 years later, there was another book, SAP HANA Administration, which was already proving 2 years later that it wasn't so true. And the good thing was it was 700 pages strong. I think at that time it was one of the thickest SAP Press books. And so I felt relieved, and I thought, okay, giving feedback is good. Maybe starting being an influencer somehow towards SAP was a trigger. And it's good to have honest conversation. I met a lot of friendly people on that. It changed myself from grumbling to contributing. It finally started myself influencing. But every new technology ships with prophecies, and I see similarities whenever cloud came up and AI now comes up. I think the expectations that are raised are always huge. for reasons. There's a high chance in that, and most of the time a lot of things are coming like that, but the way is most of the time harder. It's not the push of a button, it's not just running itself. I think it always needs a high technical expertise to get everything going. This is what I think we ourselves experience every time. And we have this Gartner hype cycle when something is pushed up so much and then it takes some time to go into a productive phase. And this is the goal I see for myself as a vision, always to stay calm in the beginning and then focus on adoption, see what's really behind that, see the real challenges and try to make that enterprise ready. And this will come later in our customer story as well. But community first, I think on this way from seeing that in the book, being on Twitter, going into the community, I thought it's a good time and place here to give 7 shout-outs to people who influenced me and probably some of you as well in the community. And just let's walk through some characters who are very much on the other side, not the marketing part, but giving out information like we will here have in some awesome sessions. So the most important thing that's still in my head a lot of times when I work with HANA is what Hasso Plattner did at that time. And I try to combine that with the character and the format of the community event, because we were touching some events of the past, some are still existing. So he was presenting really the facts about HANA with these awesome open HPI sessions where he was explaining why he was very, very convinced that this in-memory thing is a big deal and will work out. And very, very, very good. I still think a lot of that. And there was, on the screenshot, another session from Semantic Web Technologies from Dr. Harald Sack, highly recommended, by the way. Very interesting topic as well. I think even nowadays, more interesting than at that time. It was 2012. Thomas, I see you there. Old photo. I tried to take the pictures from the past because I'm still in my private photo album, what I have in mind. And that was very, very impressive. There had been the InnoJams in front of a tech ed where we did something like a hackathon, 36 hours to implement something where you've tried to do something. And Thomas was helping me at that time to have this up trial system on Sybase, I think it was Sybase, and how to connect it by a standby HANA database and help me to get that going. So my first touch point really working with the HANA. And these community events here are so important, were important for me to start this journey and go step by step. Mark Finnan, I'd like to mention him here because he brought in the fun into the enterprise world. I think when I was there, everything was very enterprise ready and focused and having fun as well and being creative in this environment was he who motivated me. And we did a lot of things out of that, the whole community. We did inside tracks, we created SAP Stammtisches. So many things where we try to connect to each other, even though... one moment. Even though we can't be always on events like this here. Next one, Lars Bredemann. At that time when community blogs were very strong and the way to push out information faster than any book could do, thanks a lot to him. I think he's now in different atmospheres, working not in the HANA area, but very, very good content. Next one, Martin. He's Australian and he joins the Stammtisch. Great, so still around and still right-minded. Good to hear. Martin Frauendorfer, I think no database out there would run like it's running without his content and contribution to the SAP notes. I checked it up, it's at the moment version 806, so it's really a continuous working mode where he gives us hints, customers, partners, providers, whatever, to make HANA work well. Another community event. It was something like derived from the SAP Inside Track format. It's the HANA Tech Night. Hans-Peter Seitz and Jörg Brandeis started that, I think, 10 times. How often did it happen? So very good. Very good the discussions before, finding a right name for that. So HANA Focus, find an own name for that and an own identity. And the last shout out goes to Jens. Finally, we have a book with really deep dive content. So that is my circle of book story is closing there. And when I was coming over here just half an hour ago, I saw some colleagues, 2 participants with the HANA book under their arm. It was that one, so good to see. Yeah, but maybe a good time to just explain who I am, who's standing here. That's me, Christian Braukmüller. I'm at the customer, Evonik Industries. It's a chemical industry. I will give some information later in the customer part. Some experience over the years, a long-time freelancer, and since 2020 within a company, first as an architect and now as a team lead. Let's see here, I'm an SAP mentor since 2014. I really love that format and the way of interacting with SAP that way very much, as well as the DSAG activities focusing on BTP area at the moment. And some formats of the community. I think that was the intention, to show you characters with the formats, things that are very important. So everyone who is not aware of what variety of community formats we have, and these are only the ones where I'm involved. So go out there and interact. I think that's my highly recommendation for everyone, and you are here. And now I'm going into the customer story. And I take this picture from this Gartner cycle there, trying to overcome the high expectation, but to see what's really possible and go our way. So our company is a chemical industry, special chemicals. It's a global company, 24/7 production business. We have an SAP platform, which is partly on-prem, partly cloud, for sure. I think everyone is hybrid nowadays. But all our core products, like all the S/4HANA systems, are on-prem on our own infrastructure. Around 100 systems running on HANA. The team setup that we have is, we had some talks before, I think it's important to make clear, we have the database team, the HANA team inside the SAP Basis Architecture team, so not a separate team handling all the databases in the company, but we're focusing on the SAP scenarios. And mainly our HANAs are, I would say 95% running on standard products, not custom developed. So everyone who is here developer doing the magic with custom developed application, that is not our core focus for HANA. So I'm talking here more from the platform and the operations side. We were early adopters, starting very early. I think it was around 2015, 16. We started with this appliance box. That was the way how to get a HANA. You got this box shipped. We shifted that around. We deconstructed that after we had the first BW system running there. Started to make a TDI landscape out of that to scale it up, to make it ready for all our systems. And migrated them all, one by one, even the small ones, small Java stacks. It was just a small database, because we try to have a concept where we try to make it as similar as possible, because we knew when we scale up, we have to handle them all. And it fits pretty well in the whole landscape. All the different systems with the different sizes fit pretty well, like in a puzzle where we have different sized pieces. And we moved maybe that is important as well, we moved our biggest core ERP system to S/4HANA in 2021 already. I think every customer has a different story. You all know that 2027 is near. ECC customers are still around, so the range of customer stories is very wide. So for this topic, we had been in an early phase. So early on HANA, and then early on S/4HANA as well. Keep it simple. A very important, how's the right term, strategy for us. We do it as an architecture decision, not by accident. We decided not to do system replication. We tried it, we did it. We had not so good cluster experience from former times. So when something is a downtime, it always was a configuration error or whatever. So we tried to think about no system replication. We don't do scale out. And we do something that is not often done, but very, very recommended. We have a one VM for one SAP system. So we are placing, when we have an architectural perspective, all the application instances together with a HANA system on one VM. That works for sure reasonable for small systems very well. The biggest one we just did in January after some testing, and it improved our performance even more. It doesn't impact our stability because we have a pretty clear error situation. The system is either there or it's not there. There's nothing in between where we have to think about, okay, how to bring something back. I think the SAP stack has several options to have the application server at least balanced and load balanced. I think that happens in the normal workload, but we don't need it for our availability. And luckily, we can take the data out of 12 years operating and see what is the availability rate, and we always up to 99.9% based on virtualization together with adaptivity, and that is something I will describe now. And I really like this sentence I catched up. Complexity you don't build, it's complexity you don't debug at 3 a.m. And this makes, I think it's for your own well-being pretty good, because the world is already complex enough. I think everything on top brings its own complexity. So trying to be at these points simple where you can be, it's not always positive arguments, there are always some negative things, but at all, our decision was good here. I'm good in time. Just talk about adaptivity because it's important for me. When you see on the right side the hardware layer, then you have the virtualization, and then you have the operating system, and then usually the architectural world stops there, and then the applications instances are on top using that as well as a database. What we started very early, I think that was even before HANA was there, we started to implement the adaptivity concept that is by SAP. At that time, the adaptivity computing controller was the former name of the Llama product, Landscape Manager. It was supporting that. That's basically what I try to explain always an early form for the container approach. And I looked it up, all the container worlds like Kubernetes, whatever, came later. So when you first adaptivity was introduced by SAP to say we decouple the application from the operating system and try to avoid any dependencies in between and make it possible that an application can run on one virtual host today there and then with the downtime on another host another day is pretty powerful, because this doesn't replace virtualization, but it extends virtualization. Think about doing an OS upgrade, like a real bigger release change. You can prepare the new VMs already, and then at the downtime, just take one application down, relocate it to the other VM, and then bring it up with a new operating system. So you don't have something like an in-place upgrade. And the good thing is, if it doesn't work, you can move it back again. So it's really like a very defined and a very clear architecture with some rules you have to follow. You need naming conventions, that helps a lot. And you take everything with you. You take the IP address, you take the storage, and then you move to another place. Very powerful. Not every application does that, has that in its, I would say, how it's designed itself. But with some effort, you can do it with everything. All the adapters we have nowadays, like a Cloud Connector, Signavio Connector, whatever, even the little things can be very independent from the operating system. And this is something, when we now talk about clean core today, I think a fundamental thing to do, because when you focus on defining something well, make it manageable by rules, then you're on a good track and make your life easier. And this is something I heard yesterday in the keynote by Daniel Hutzel, and I was very impressed. I'm not a developer, but I'm always fascinated by developer keynotes and sessions yesterday, and he was so clear in his statements about how CAP works and how well defined that is. And I saw these similarities. If you have a good design and a good architecture, everything else is then somehow doable. Performance in HANA. A lot of promises in the beginning, and I can confirm at the end it's pretty good. We have a good result nowadays, but it's up and downs, and we were glad that we have the admins to take care of that. A lot of things happen in a lifetime of an SAP system. So we started with HANA. The data footprint is down first because of the compression, but the memory consumption is high. So it's not something like black and white. You always have to differentiate a lot. And I see nowadays, even I think there was 2 weeks ago, a LinkedIn post where someone said, we got our database down from 240 terabyte to something like 60, and I said, yeah, but which memory data? So it's not so clear. And it's hard to explain it here in detail, but our phases had been that we hunted a lot for latency issues we thought we see in the storage down to the network. We had an S4HANA migration, ECC to S4HANA, with for sure impacts. Not every program was ready for that. We got the hex engine in the HANA underneath, and then we had different things to monitor and different things to handle. So we had ups and downs, some serious ups, but we went down step by step. We used all the things SAP provided. I think it's important here in my message to SAP, thanks for all the tooling around HANA. We used them all. We did capture and replay. We used the HCMT to make load tests. And we went down, and we went down with one hardware renewal in 2024. Replacing hardware is always a good thing, but it went down again. And now with a relocation to one VM, we are down to 200 milliseconds or under 200 milliseconds average database response time, which is impressive. I can't tell a percentage, but it's pretty good. And you see it in the overall direct response time for the application as well. The HANA upgrade cycle, I picked 2 or 3 things just to make clear what our mindset is on the customer side. When I see all the benefits that are expected from a cloud scenario, public cloud, very strict and consistent upgrade plans, so you got upgraded continuously. And I was thinking, okay, we can do the same on the customer side, but usually the business people don't like it so much, but we can do it. And if we do it, we can standardize that. And this is something we really do. We try to understand first the process, make our experiences, and then make that into in a permanent mode. And maybe the summarization down there is the right thing. It's easier to handle exceptions in a standardized process than to standardize an environment shaped by exceptions. And this is what I have seen even in my freelancer time before, that some landscapes are more created by, I don't know what the right term is, by experimenting, but it needs a phase to hold in and just rethink naming conventions and the architecture diagrams. And if these things are at least clear in the minds and you can follow that in the team, you make several things much easier, up to monitoring and troubleshooting. Regarding time, I skip that one, just mentioning what are some responsibilities. We do a lot of scripting and standards. We use Ansible a lot. We now use it for our restore and recovery to make it a defined step. Catching up with SAP notes is still important. We had this from Martin, this important SAP note, for example, and all others. It's like reading the daily news. It's a continuous thing. You have to keep up with that, and that helps a lot. And performance is, for every system that's doing something like an upgrade, focuses on that system to see, together with the basis team, how is the HANA behaving afterwards. Security, another important thing, because we have some regulated environment and have to ensure several things. Just to mention that, we did the backup, we did online log encryption, data encryption, and everything that is connection related, even though the microsegmentation over the whole landscape, not a HANA thing only, for the application as well. And important to say, it's not secure by default. It's not that you just bring it up. You all know that. And therefore, looking back at the time where someone was expecting that the effort on an administration level is less than for any other database or any other IT component, I think that is just not true. And this is important. And it was continuously something we had to transfer to our management over the time. Why do we have efforts for a database which was initially announced as it doesn't make any effort, if that was the message that was sent out? We are on a good level nowadays, so no issue, but that costs energy and time as well. Hot topics as of now, clean core is a hot topic for us. I think on a slide later I have a QR code to show our presentation we did last year at the DSAG conference, more of the overall picture, because I said we are with our S4HANA on-prem world, and we are targeting towards the public cloud scenario, which is a longer strategy, but clean core is an important thing, and the responsibility for our database team is as well to take care of the interfaces that are coming in. I think the requests to touch the database directly without going over the application is coming, I think, every 6 months. And then the discussion starts and explaining that is probably not the best idea to do. To take other ideas is probably a way to do. And I saw the agenda, like syncing between HANA and HANA Cloud. All these things are possible. But to be very strict and clear, to protect the core is really one thing. And the world changes. We have the API policy and the ODP restrictions. So there's a lot of things to reconsider. And the new fun part is the vibe coding part. Seeing now what's possible to do with ad hoc reporting in several ways is amazing. I really liked it. I think 10 years ago, I did a session at the SAG to analyze all the SAP kernels that we have out there in a very large landscape to see differences out there. And now we can do things with AI to do some HTML reporting based on simple data. So very simple. So for every developer is saying a basis admin is playing around with development things and code. But it works. In the past, it took me several hours of train driving to type that down. It was never good. And nowadays, you get your idea into a good prototype. I wouldn't call it a productive app. All the doubts about vibe coding are totally okay. But for our reasons, it's often helpful. And we did something like monitoring and getting insights in our backup schedule. When you have so many backups, you need to review them after a while. Does that really fit together? Systems grow, hardware changes. Does that really fit into a night? What are the lengths, the runtime? All the plugin deliveries and our upgrade planning are now going into a way to not have Excel sheets and with planning and changes in an ITSM tool, but first have an overview page to make that more transparent. I speed up a bit. These are the games I was playing around 10 years ago, and nowadays we pick them up again and make them even better. So that was a kernel comparison with all the binaries and find inconsistencies. And what's next on the list? I put some things here. Some things will show up in the agenda here for some sessions. Here's the QR code, by the way, our overall strategy to public cloud. Our challenges are now we need to bring our automation standards to the cloud environment on BTP, Terraform. Yesterday was a session about that. Is very on top of our list. Licenses and costs. I never dreamed about that, but a strong conversation is every day with our license manager for every new product that is coming in and reflect everything. Not everything that is technically doable is the right decision automatically. So you always have to reflect. Our license manager learned a lot about architecture and products, and we learned a lot about licensing and measurement, and FinOps is a part of that as well. We have to work on outage handling with SAP. So BTP had a little hiccup last Thursday, and we have really, there's a chance to claim outages, but this process seems to not work very well. And how to bring outage messages into the company and to inform everyone, so ITSM synchronization. Governance, very important. Governance needs to build up later on when you forget it in the beginning, so keep the governance on the whole track when new things start up. And I mentioned already using AI, not only for our reports, but for more, and there were some good discussions yesterday. I think everyone is talking about agents and MCP. We can do a lot with that. Okay, so I'm nearly at the end. I think good timing. Not stealing anyone from the coffee break. My takeaways, I think they are now pretty easy. Just take one, community rocks. Great that you are here. Let's do that. I had some doubts after Corona times if we will still feed these rooms and bring that back. And there are a lot of on-site events are happening where people are so interested to interact and learn from each other. Where promises aren't exactly the value you will take out of that. It takes some time. Keep all the prophecies grounded. Keep it simple. I explained that. And share what you learn. So thanks for everyone who's sharing his insights here at his sessions and in the coffee breaks. And the request to SAP, keep on investing strongly into the contact with the community. And there had been some formats in the past, a lot of posted events. I have some photos at the end of the slide. Keep on this middle layer. So between all the necessary Sapphire messages, I think there's a lot of room to spread out all the details and knowledge to help us all to adopt and to reflect and give feedback. I think every product has a curve to go into a really production-ready mode with all the different specialties at the customer side. And hopefully SAP keeps on keeping that part strong. And thanks for supporting an event like this. I took that out of the LinkedIn post from Stefan Beuerle, who put that pretty good together here. I couldn't said it better. Whether you're shaping data strategy, writing the code, or scaling HANA in production, and this is probably the group here, this is your space to connect, exchange ideas, and help shape what comes next. So my perspective was very much from the operational part, and I think a lot of developers are here, so I think all that together is what makes it, what gives it a value. And one final thing, just to send you out with a smile into the coffee break. What was a good thing with the interaction with SAP? That was a 2019 event from SAP HANA Operation Expert Summit. We had a lot of post-its and collected all the requests from the customers and partners, what could be done, what is missing in HANA, to probably fill a backlog, hopefully, somewhere. And just not looking at you, especially. But that was what we had. That was a board with security requests at that time. And I still have that picture in mind when I think about how to interact with SAP. And I think a lot of these things were implemented in the meantime when I was zooming a bit in and found some things and I said, yeah, something happened there. But this is the way we should all interact with each other to play transparent. And yeah, therefore, thanks a lot and have a good day.
Awesome. Christian, thank you so much for this super inspiring and great kickoff of the day. I think we couldn't be more happy about that. And you stressed community all over. Actually, you also showed, maybe by not even spotting that this is the journey that we made with, like, from HANA Tech Nights to Tech Con, because Jörg, Jens, and others were precisely the ones saying, like, we should bring this also to Code Connect. So thanks for that. You made me laugh about that last one, but I'm 100% sure that you made at least 2 folks, and even more here in the room, very proud about the Ops Summit mentioning that, because that was really a big effort as well, and it's great to hear that this really made a significant difference. Jörg Latze, even here in front, was like, yes, very good. This was our event back in days, and Katrin back here was part of the core team organizing that. So thanks for that fantastic feedback.